Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 162. We are at PCA's national office. Around the table, you'll notice some new guests and folks that actually have been here before, and then we're missing someone. So we have Manny to my right, Mr. Sass to my left. I'll introduce my guest in a second. Down on the floor here, we have
the other Mr.
They
Sass.
should see him because he's in a little square.
He's in a little square?
Yeah.
So Damon's over there. Thank you, Damon, for figuring out all the technical wizardry so that we can do this podcast today. But our guest today is the publisher of Stuttgart Market Letter. He's been with us before. He's no longer a stranger. He was with us at Tech Tactics East. David Whitlock, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
I want to thank Pirelli for their sponsorship of PCA Insider. Without their help and support, this would not happen. I want to make sure for those that are listening, if you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, go ahead and grab that VIN, head over to PCA.org and make yourself a member of PCA. For those of you looking for that special Porsche for your driveway or garage, we have the test drive program. Again, just head over to PCA.org. Speaking of membership and how membership has its privileges, we do have open now the PCA member-only raffle for spring 2025. You want to mention some of the details?
Oh, yeah, we can't participate in it.
Yes.
I'm in.
David
I'm
can.
in.
David can, but everybody else in this room, we are not eligible to win anything with
Which would
regards
be
to
a
the raffle.
good raffle to win something, this one.
Yeah, this one's special because for the first time ever, thank you to Porsche Cars North America, the first time ever, we are offering a GT3 as the first grand prize. And PCA's Executive Council also approved that in addition to the car, we've also upped the cash prize. So it used to be car plus $25,000. Now it's car plus $35,000. And that also applies to the second grand prize, which is a 911 Carrera plus $35,000. So for those of you that are listening and you are a PCA member, you can enter into this raffle. Best odds out there.
Is the dog eligible?
Dog is not eligible. We talked a few weeks ago now, right? We talked about Amelia, and we've got some cars to go through.
Before you go to the schedule,
Uh-oh.
I got a little show and tell, since you always like to do show and tell.
Show and tell, yes. Yes.
But I'm going to fall over.
All right, while he's getting his show and tell, since this morning it was raining cats and dogs, it is April, I want to remind you to clean and clear your drains on your car, because we know of some cars that have been totaled because they didn't clear their drains, and also to replace your windshield wiper blades. And me personally, I always like to do it with OEM blades. OEM blades are the best.
What's OEM blades?
Like for my Porsche, I buy Porsche windshield blades. If I buy
But they're not
a Honda,
Porsche, though.
well, but whatever they chose to be
You mean
factory
from a
deli-
dealer.
Yeah, I always buy from.
Do you
factory.
do that, Rob?
Oh, all the time. You know it, Manny.
They're just better. I don't know why. I don't know.
I got Michelin.
At
ones.
Costco.
I rain next.
But
I didn't get a Costco, but I think I got it at Walmart.
every time I've tried to go with like an aftermarket wiper blade, I just get disappointed. For some reason, I get a factory blade. They're great.
I don't know. Honestly, the attachment points these days are what are particularly frustrating. It
Maybe
used
that's
to be, yeah. So
Used
I
to be
can
just
see
a
that.
hook. Now
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
has their own little way
Right.
to attach them.
And you don't
Right.
want like a cheesy looking windshield wiper that's supposed to look like OEM and have a nice fitment. I
Right.
don't know.
You know what I always do now after learning this lesson? I put a towel over top of my windshield. Because one time, long time ago, when I had my 924, I went to change it, and the blade, the handle,
snap
came
back.
off my
Oh
hand
no, you did not
Broke the
crack
windshield?
and cracked the
You
windshield.
cracked
Oh,
the
no.
windshield. Yes, that's a great tip. If you're changing your blades, put a towel down in
Just
case
to-
the arm
in case,
comes
some
crashing
of them
down.
do
on it.
lock into place, but it doesn't hurt just to spend a minute to get a towel and put it on your windshield, just something to cushion, because that was painful. All
Okay.
right, so this is what my wife got for me. For those listening, she got this off of Amazon. She said it was some kind of flash sale or something that came up.
Can I read the box for our listeners?
So it's it doesn't even say where it's made from. I was dying to, so I'm guessing it's some Asian country probably.
Daily Life Turbojet Blower.
Okay, I see batteries. I see
The funny thing
charge
was,
time.
I think it had the battery, like the fact that it used lithium
Uh-huh.
warning, but it came packed inside of another brown box that didn't have the lithium warning.
Oh,
Which I thought was kind of funny. So Daily Life Turbojet Blower. And the instructions are priceless. It's basically one page is blank.
and there's a picture of a car with
They give
snow all over
They
it.
give you pictures of
I've seen
of how to,
these
what
shorts.
it's used for.
You're not blowing that snow off that
so
car with
You
this
notice
thing.
in the,
Okay.
manual, it doesn't say how long it takes
And
to charge.
it's not. I'll just put it next to your head. It's not for his hair, although it looks like although it looks
Once
like a
again,
hair dryer.
So on the box it says 5-hour charge time, 1 hour use time.
Okay. Okay.
Lithium ion. So she got this for my to drive the car because she heard me talking about. So I guess I brought it in because I said, "What's the over and under of how long this is going to last?"
Well, is it powerful? That's that's pretty good.
Wow.
Careful, his
Made
hair.
by Pratt and Whitney.
It's not heavy at all.
Wow. Okay. Can we ask how much this costs?
$17.
17.
I guess this is pre-tariff.
Okay.
Wow. Okay,
have-
that
But
is
even
a-
with the tariff, what is it going to cost? Is that 50% more?
Wow. that's pretty
22.
strong. Oh, sorry, Ethan.
yeah, he's frightened of the vacuum.
So for our listeners who can't,
But it doesn't
see,
have an attachment to make it any.
smaller.
So basically, for the people who are listening and not watching, it looks like a hair dryer.
Yeah.
About the
Small-
opening
small
of a
one,
hair
a
dryer.
small one.
It's like a camping hair
Have
dryer.
you used it yet on a watered down car yet?
No.
Okay, so
we did
you'll
use
get-
it on our deck to blow away some of the stuff that fell from the trees.
Okay.
You had the perfect opportunity today. It was pouring.
Oh.
That's true. I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. We should have got outside. and
Okay,
see.
so you got to give us a real world test report after you use it.
Full review.
Yeah.
Incoming.
So, anyways,
For 17
bucks.
I mean,
What the heck?
yeah.
It's 21 volts.
Okay. I would say when you go to charge that, you might want to keep it somewhere where you can watch it being charged in case.
Outside in the
Yeah,
driveway.
I was about
with
to
extension
say.
cord.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll bring it into the office to
Just in
charge.
case. Lithium ion with no warning signal or stickers on it. Yeah, pretty simple. Cool. All right, so back to the task at hand. We talked about Amelia Island cars, and we were fortunate enough to see a lot, if not all, the cars that's on the list. And David, you are there watching and writing things down, and we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about how it all went. So before we go into details, let's talk about the overall Amelia. What was your impression?
So overall, I mean, it was wonderful. You know,
Yeah.
especially, you know, you guys, I don't know who you paid to get weather like that on Friday.
Yeah, we got the
but
best day.
Yeah, do it again.
We paid a premium.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the actual Concord Elegance got moved to Saturday, so it
Yeah.
kind of messed things up a little bit. So I spent more time at the auction as I did on the Concord lawn, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's what I'm there for.
But it was totally the right choice for
Totally the
yeah.
right choice.
Yeah.
Auction wise, so things went really well. You know, there's some doom and gloom always going into these things because it kind of sets the tone for the spring for the rest of the year. And we, of course, this year we also had the week before we had the RM auctions down in Miami.
Miami, yep.
So now we have like Florida Car Week.
Yeah.
So you've got Miami the one weekend, then bookend by Amelia Island, which has Gooding and Company and Broad Arrow auctions. So really good week. Had about 35 million and change between the two weekends. 85% sell-through rate. So really, really strong. A lot of cars going above expectations. The majority of them kind of hitting right where we thought they were, and then some kind of failing. No surprises in
How
there.
does that compare to last year?
Compared to last year, I'd say it was a little bit stronger.
Stronger.
Yeah, I'd say it was a little bit stronger. You know, last year you had both Miami and Amelia on the same weekends.
Oh, right.
So
right.
it kind of divided things up, it felt like. But, you know, really, really strong weekend. Some great results and a lot of cars that we haven't seen cross the block ever,
Yeah.
which was nice. And some surprises, too.
Yeah. Was it just me, or I really missed Bonhams on Thursday? It was really weird to drive into town and see no tent there, no cars parked.
Yeah. That was kind of odd, too.
Yeah.
You know, this was always my first stop when I get in on Thursday.
Yeah, me too.
Go to Bonhams, you know,
Yeah.
kind of hang out, grab a drink, see what's going on, get a
Yeah.
feel for it.
And
Yeah.
if you're
Before
driving
good
in,
reviews.
that's
Go see a
kind of-
Ratty 928 or
Yep,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bonhams
Exactly.
is what kind of showed, you've arrived at Amelia
Yeah.
Island for the car show and all the cars that weekend.
100%.
I definitely missed that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're in Miami next year.
Okay, I was going to say, do we know
Yeah, I
what
don't know.
happened? Did they just not have an auction this year?
I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
will they have an auction, and will they come back? Or
I don't know. I don't know anybody at Bottoms anymore,
Wow.
unfortunately.
huh? So for those of you that are listening that might have an answer for us, what happened to Bonhams? Why weren't they there, and where can we find them? Will they be back next year?
Oh, they'll be in Miami for the Grand Prix. They're the ones
Okay.
hosting the Formula One auction.
Okay,
there
gotcha.
in the first weekend in May, I believe.
Yeah. So what did you think of the quality of cars that were there overall?
I mean, it's Gooding. It's Broad Arrow auction, so
Yeah.
the quality's always up there.
Yeah.
Always some really good cars. I say probably there's my favorite car and there's like my favorite result. Two different things. I'd have to say my favorite result of the weekend was that 904 Carrera GTS. During my Tech Tactics presentation a month or so ago now, it was not looking good for the $1 million plus cars from the 50s, 60s, 70s. If you saw my chart that I had, basically nothing sold.
Yeah.
In the last year and a half, 2 years almost. So this 904 goes up, and not only did it sell, which was impressive enough, but it beat estimates. I mean, that car sold all in with fees, 2.205 million. The estimate on it was like 1.5, 1.8.
Yeah.
So it did really, really well. I was super, super, super stoked to see that.
Yeah, aren't the rules kind of different though for cars like that? I mean, I know 356s, long hood 911s, 912s have been kind of flat for a while, but there's so few of those cars available worldwide. Don't they play by a different set of rules?
Yeah, but we haven't seen them sell at all.
Yeah,
Not at all. So 904s, and even Spiders.
Yeah.
There's one Spider, Center C Spider, that's been through the auction ring in the last few years multiple times.
Yeah.
So
Know the car, yeah.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on, and I never want our podcast to get into politics, but with possibly folks thinking about uncertainty and the love of cars and putting their money into cars, do you think that has somewhat of a effect?
I mean, it's more than politics. I think it's economics that have the effect. I mean, obviously politics drive economics in a lot of cases, but we'll see what happens. Some people think that the incoming tariffs will have a positive effect on the collector car market.
That's what I've heard too.
But, if the tariffs affect people's pockets, then they're not going to be paying up for these cars.
Positive effect because
yeah.
the market is right now going down, the stock market, and people want to put their money elsewhere. Is that why it would be a positive effect, or because of the tariffs would raise the price of used cars, let's say?
Yeah, so let's say, a new GT3 goes up 25%, it's a big chunk of change. Are other 99 2.1s, 99 1.2s, are they going to go up as well because people, have a price point they need to be on?
Right.
It could happen, when people are flush with money, like we saw in 2020, the market went through the roof, and it took 2 years for that to finally settle down. But if the tariffs are hurting people financially, then they're not flush with money.
Right.
They don't have the money to spend, even though new cars are more expensive, and you would think people would go to a few years old or a couple generations back.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're always kind of searching for that silver lining. If, we're talking about tariffs and new cars are more expensive, I get it. But then hopefully the silver lining is perhaps, the used cars or cars that are a couple of years old are a better buy for some folks.
Yeah. Is it correct that the tariff is going to apply to used cars as well?
So yes and no.
I just saw something today.
What it states, so if you go through and you read on, what was it? Oh, I was looking it up earlier. So the adjusting imports of automobiles and automobile parts in the United States, there's a section in it, page 10, it reads, heading 9903.94.04 applies to all entries of passenger vehicles, sedans, yada yada, and light trucks. But it says, of this note, that were manufactured in a year at least 25 years prior to the year of the date of entry. So it looks like the 25-year rule is 25 year and older are still going to be able to come in just on your normal duties, which is like what,
2.5%. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I saw.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Yep.
so a little bit of good news there.
Yeah, because I mean, the collector car market, let's face it, is a global market, and if you've got something that's hindering, the passage of cars from one continent to another, it's not going to be good. But it looks like it will affect, though, like show and display cars.
Yeah, so show and display
yeah.
cars, so like your 911 Sport Classics,
Well, yeah.
your 997s and whatnot.
Yeah.
So those will be affected because you can't bring them in anymore.
Right.
I've been holding out for 996.1 GT3s to start coming in, but they are at now this point and in the future they're finally at the 25.
Yeah.
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 But GT3
GT3
RSs, that's a
Yeah.
different story for
Yeah.
another year or two.
Yeah.
But the
I knew you were going there.
cost of restorations will go up because the parts are still under
Absolutely.
tariff, right?
Yeah.
So now
Yep.
it's going to have an increased cost.
There's still a lot of discussion online. A lot of things obviously will change by the time this podcast even comes out.
Perhaps.
So
Perhaps. All right. So we want to get into the cars. You guys ready? All right. The first one you had just mentioned, the 904.
Yep, that 904 Carrera GTS, really nice car. Again, it sold for $2,205,000 against a high estimate of 1.8 million.
Wow.
Excellent example. And like I said, they haven't been selling. Just to see that happen was like, okay, maybe they're back. I mean, it's gonna take more than one result to know
Right.
that they're back or not. But I was just really, really happy to finally see that
And I
one.
guess a lot is also the pedigree, right, of the particular chassis number of what they've done. This one,
That always comes in, but they all haven't been selling.
Oh.
They all, like pedigree or no pedigree.
They
Vitsa
just
or
wouldn't
not.
get to reserve.
Yeah, just weren't.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't selling for a while.
I also have those two slideshow. things
Yeah,
that
throw
I
that
have.
throw that chart up. The second slide, I mean, it's clear as day. Cars, $1 million plus cars that have sold versus, or the next slide. Yeah, there you go. I mean, year of the car versus sold. So green X's are sold, red X's are not sold. Paints a pretty clear picture.
Oh. Wow.
I can't see anything.
So,
with the colors.
so
but,
why don't you explain
Generational
it
shift.
for those that can't see the chart and
Yep.
are just listening?
So if you're looking at car as you go for basically 1980, if you go to the left, you go back to the 70s, 60s, and 50s.
Uh-huh.
It is vastly red with nothing past 1970 green, which means sold. And then as you get into the 90s, more and more sold, and most cars into the 2000s and 2010s, a lot of green, a lot of sold cars, and a handful, a couple fingerful of not sold
Right.
cars.
When
So
is
it's very clear.
there's definitely a generational shift going on. Gen X and younger seem to be driving the market right now. But the one thing that I find kind of strange, and it's something probably of interest to Vu too, is I've been waiting for 356s to come down in price for a while, and they seem pretty stable. I mean, when is that
Yeah.
going to happen?
There's a little bit of a softness, and then 356s were pretty strong down at Amelia.
Yeah.
Yep.
So-
What I see, so I talk, I'm always talking to people, and you get the collector who buys their first Porsche. They go out and buy their new Porsche, and they're like, oh, well, now I'm reading about these air-cooled cars. I want to pick one of those up. Now I'm reading about 356s. So I see collections just start going down the line, and people still have enthusiasm for those 356s. Are they going to shoot up during the next boom? Probably not. They might rise a little bit, but and they might. I mean, they've sunk a little bit, but they're not going to just come crashing down unless the economic world melts down.
Yeah,
Then
and if you think about the newer buyers buying newer cars, let's say on average they're spending 150 to 200, right? And all of a sudden they have a, I might want to dabble in an air-cooled car. 150 is like they already spent 150, so like that price point for a car that's air-cooled is kind of reasonable to them. Like I
Yeah.
can get a collectible car for the price of a car that I just paid retail for. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not like they had to pay 300 for it to get into the collector world. They could literally pay the same amount that they did for the car they just bought
Yeah.
to get into the collector
I
world.
think they're finding out that a 356, and I've known this all along, a 356 is unlike a 50 Chevy. A 53 Chevy versus a 5356. I would argue that the 356 is much more usable than the
Right.
Chevy. So people find out that, hey, they're not just good for cars and coffee and go back home again. I can actually take them on tours. I can do a road trip with them. and still enjoy the whole vintage feeling. So to me, the 356, and until it gets to the point where it's no longer a truly usable car, will hold its value, regardless of its age. When it gets to the point, maybe a generation or two from now, where they're saying this is just way too raw for me. I need my CarPlay and I need this and that. That 356 will still, unfortunately, Rob, hold its value for us.
But you know,
We won't
they're
have the
not-
old 964 from the 90s that we could get real cheap.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not nostalgia buys. Like, you know, 57 Chevy, I think, you know, nobody my age or anybody's age at this table really cares about them because, you know, we were around for Elvis and Eisenhower and all the stuff that was going on. I think those are pure nostalgia buys. They don't do anything for me. But 356s seem to have this you know, this cross-generational appeal to them that everybody seems to like them. They never seem to be, you know, purely nostalgia buys. I mean, people are buying them because they're, as Manny said, they're usable, they're nice to look at.
I mean, you just
they're
got a
good to drive.
59. Your dad did not own a 56. So why did you pick the 356?
To me, it's like rolling art.
Yeah.
The lines are beautiful. The more time I spend behind it, it's actually something that is very usable, and parts are plentiful. If you know where to look. I mean, my car obviously is not a Concours or whatever, but you can keep them running for fairly minimal cost, and you can fix them with a test light and a flat-bladed screwdriver, and you know, it's pretty simple. But yet the reward in driving on a back road with one of them, you can't really compare it to anything. It's like your own little time capsule, and it's universally loved.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that sees it loves it.
Yeah, nobody's hostile. And
Nope.
to me, they ooze quality. You know, the square weave carpeting, the panel gaps, the way the doors shut. You know, things are not made that way anymore, and they never will be again.
And I will say the same for 356, long hoods, SCs, you know, and 964s as well. Like, there's that analog quality and the build quality that I think new buyers haven't really experienced yet because they've owned quote unquote disposable cars, and then they get into one of these, they're like, oh, that sound, that smell, it's cool. All right, it's really cool. They talk about a lot of these younger folks going to basic phones and getting away from, you know, your typical iPhone, because they're like, it just takes too much of their time, the quality time away. So they're going to these basic phones and stuff. And I think that's like it.
I'd buy a StarTAC in a heartbeat if somebody
See,
brought that back out.
exactly.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they're coming back out with them. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
But
But at the same
356s
time-
did well.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the same time, the graph, which I'll put up on the screen again, it's showing, you know, that 356s and 911s or the older cars aren't selling as
These
much.
are $1 million plus cars.
$1 million plus.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
for the $1 million plus ones, there was one potential $1 million plus 356, and it was that GS GT Speedster,
With the hardtop.
and that sold right in the range. So it was estimated between 900 to 1.2 million. All in, it was 973.
Oh.
Now, like the 16 356s that crossed the block, only 2 didn't sell. The
Nice.
majority of them were a little bit soft, a little bit behind the estimates, and estimates are usually a little,
Yeah.
a little high.
Right.
But we had one 356 that actually beat estimates. I mean, it sold for 235 against a high estimate of 200, and that was a 52 Super Coupe.
Ooh.
So
All right, let's bring up the big dollar car, the 89 Yellowbird.
yes,
What the heck?
that thing, oh, it was gorgeous.
It was beautiful.
I spent more time looking at that single car than probably anything else.
It's only 29 built. Is that what it is?
I still
True.
can't wrap my head around how much that car went for.
Yeah, I mean, the estimate was in excess of $6 million.
And didn't they change that like a week before? Remember, Rob? I think you brought it to my attention
Yeah.
that they went from 3 million to 6 million. The estimate. Yeah, I guess that means because they had people interested in the car.
Yeah, probably.
Keep
Well,
in mind,
start.
10 years ago, this was not even $1 million car.
Oh, no.
I mean, this was, you know, mid 6 figures, right?
Yeah, I
350,
crossed.
400.
I had an opportunity to buy a white one in the 300s.
Yeah.
Probably 15
my
years ago.
God. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why isn't anyone telling me to buy
Real,
these cars?
real W09 roof VIN.
Wow.
So-
That car was not, I mean,
Okay.
This
So-
one, I mean, this is the holy grail of Ruf CTRs, other than the original Yellowbird with the side inlets.
Right.
That's the only car that has those. The rest of them don't just have rear fenders like this one. But super low mileage, only like 2 owners if I remember correctly. So like this is the nicest one in existence. Also Blossom Yellow, which is, yellow bird.
Blossom Yellow. I didn't realize that. Huh, that's pretty cool.
So
It's a pretty innocuous name for that color.
If-
Yeah, right.
Speed yellow or race yellow. It's blossom yellow.
Blossom yellow. Now, if this car has, what makes it different between a $3 million and a $6 million car? That's what I'm trying to understand. Like I know how special it
Well,
is.
I mean, we haven't seen a Ruf CTR cross the auction block, and I can't remember.
Really?
At all, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They just don't come up for sale.
They just don't come up for sale.
Yeah, you just don't see them. So this was a rare opportunity to buy one.
Yeah.
There are a few others that might be coming up for sale here in the near future, but they're nowhere near the quality of this. So this really kind of set the market for this car.
So low mileage, low production, and never comes up for sale.
Yeah, and it's a legend, Ruf.
Yeah.
If you grew up, in the '80s, the cover of Bird and Track, playing this in the Gran Turismo video games, the fascination video of this thing ripping around the Nürburgring,
Fun-
just going sideways.
Fun piece of trivia: the creative director of Panorama, Richard Barron, who was the art director of Road and Track, then actually coined the name Yellowbird.
He's the one.
He's
So
the
if
one.
you listen to the podcast, Rob, you would know that. Because we had him on the podcast.
I know
told
that.
us
I was here when he was here, but I
Tell me you
figured-
don't listen to the podcast.
Manny is
I was-
always ready to pounce. He's always
I
ready to
was
pounce.
there when you did it, and I did. But Manny, there's always the possibility that maybe there are some new people.
Our listeners listen to
listening.
every episode.
No,
too.
but maybe there's some new people who
You
are
two
listening
don't make
for
me
the
pull the
first
car over
time.
and make you get out. These two.
I didn't hear the episode either. Sorry, guys.
All right, so the next car here, also a Ruf, but it's a much later model. But beautiful
But
color.
see, you can buy that.
Yeah.
And you're going to be saying 10 years from 20 years from now, how come no one told me to buy that?
Because I'm so risk
If you had $2.6 million, you could have bought it.
This
I mean,
was 2.6.
This one sold for 2.645 with fees, and that beat estimates. I mean, the high estimate was $2.5 million. And this sold at the same auction with the Yellowbird, so it was at Gooding and Company.
So this is a 1997 Ruf CTR 2.
Yep.
Sold for 2.6. Estimate was 2 to 2.5. And what color is this?
It looks like Riviera, but it's probably Ruf's own.
Adriatic blue.
Adriatic.
Adriatic blue. It is a beautiful car.
Oh yeah, there's even less of these, but it's not as iconic as the
Right.
CTR, the original CTR Yellowbird.
So can I ask a silly question? You buy either the Yellowbird or you buy this one here. Are you driving them?
Well, you buy all three first of all, CTR 1, 2, and 3.
right.
And depend. I'd pile the miles on them.
Oh man, I don't know.
Because if I had the $9-10 million to buy all three,
Yeah, you
Whatever.
probably could swing to put a couple miles on it.
I'd be all right.
I got you. So the two Ruf cars did really well. There's another one.
There was a
There's
third. So
a
you
third one.
in the Florida Car Week, you had the opportunity to complete the collection of Ruf CTR with the 1, 2, and 3. And this CTR 3, this one was at RM in Miami. And it did pretty well. It was estimated between 1 and 1.3 million. All in, it was at 1.1 and change.
For me, this seems like the
A
deal.
bargain.
A bargain
Yeah, it was
because
the same thing.
Cause,
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Right?
yes, the Yellowbird's iconic and the
I mean, the
Adriatic blue,
performance,
but this
mid-engine.
looks like a supercar.
Yeah.
I mean, the others are supercars too. But this,
It looks like a GT1.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And, yeah, exactly. And it's utterly bespoke.
Is,
Yeah.
is this
Yeah.
one mid-engine or rear?
It's mid-engine.
Mid-engine.
Yep, mid-engine. Everybody's like, oh, it's a
So the
upgraded
chassis,
Boxster now.
chassis was a Cayman?
No, I believe it was completely built by Ruf.
Yeah.
Maybe
Two-frame?
some parts. There's a really good video on Larry Chen's channel where he walks through the Ruf North America headquarters. I mean, it was a history lesson
Yeah.
from the gentleman who works there. It's wonderful.
I'm pretty sure it's a 997 front end, but
That would-
obviously the back is
Yeah.
tube frame. I could be
So
wrong,
basically
but pretty
copying the GT1.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Except
purely on
they use
looks,
a 993.
purely on looks, this or a GT1?
Oh, GT1.
Oh, GT1.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
CTR3 for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I knew there was going to be
Interesting.
one
Gotta be one.
contrarian.
There's always
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm on Team GT1 too, but it is cool.
I would say that was the bargain because that looks so cool.
Oh, yeah,
for the amount of money
the
that you
performance,
spent.
the power.
And
It'll keep.
Did
be
it
up
say
there.
even how many they produced of this?
I believe they are just finishing producing
31.
the
One of
final-
31.
Yeah,
Since 2008.
they have like a
Wow.
club score or something out now.
Wow, very cool. All right, so we depart the roof world, and we get back into some early cars. This one here
yep,
is
so
the
they're the
52 356
Yeah.
1500 Super.
And this is the one that did really well. This is the one that beat estimates. It was estimated between 150 and 200, and it hammered at 230. Or I'm sorry, sold all in 235 too. So super strong sale for that particular car. And it was, I mean, beautiful. The color, the wheels.
This is the one that was green that looked silver to me.
Yes. Yeah, it was a beautiful
It was on
car.
our video. That's why I remember it.
Gorgeous.
Yep.
Still looks silver.
Like I said, most of the 356s, at least they sold a little bit below estimate. This is the one that beat the estimate. But the one potential $1 million car was almost there, and that was the Carrera GS GT Speedster.
The hardtop car?
Yep.
Yeah, the red one.
That was a really pretty car.
Can I do a little departure? Because I sent a link over to Manny. It still is really cool to see that people are finding cars. And the link I sent to you yesterday, Manny, was the...
Just to me or to everyone?
I think I sent it to Boggs and Damon as well. It
was
was...
when you texted to us.
Yeah, Texas. I'm sorry. Yeah, Texas. You. So last year, someone in Atlanta or Georgia found 356001 in Russian green.
What?
Exactly. Like that. There's...
I looked on the 356
It's-
registry forum because I thought to myself, I can already hear the tippy tap.
Yeah, like is
on
it
keyboards
it
where you start
legit?
questioning the legitimacy.
Boo,
Yeah.
it's 356A number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 356A.
okay.
Yeah.
Not the
356.
very first
Not the ferry one,
356,
yeah, but
yeah.
356A001. That's still pretty darn cool. That it was just sitting
Yeah.
in a barn somewhere. Anyways,
Wow.
let's see the next one. Oh yeah, the Speedster. We did look at this one too. That was cool to see the hardtop. I've never seen it on a car.
And going back real quickly to what you were just talking about, you want to be cool for that car to see how much pre-A is on that car.
On the
versus
hard
A.
fine one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to go through it and
Oh,
see.
absolutely. Because they were using parts from all
Exactly.
different cars. I know my father, when he was doing the restoration on his 356 SC, it was very late in the line.
Yeah.
And when they did the disassembly, they were finding 901 part numbers and whatnot.
Oh,
I've heard
yeah.
that. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And we know for a fact nobody's touched that car because the previous owner, was a good friend of ours, and we bought it from his estate.
Yeah.
So, and it sat for 30-something years. So
Yeah.
nobody touched it.
Yeah. It came that way. I mean, whatever parts was available, that's what they put on.
Yeah, yep. And it was funny too. Is on the left hand side it had flat screws, and on the right hand side,
I've never used a flat-headed screwdriver
Yep.
so much until we had this 356. So let's talk about this 59. This one did not sell.
No, this sold. This one did
Oh, it did
really
sell.
well. Yep,
Okay.
it sold within range. All in just below $1 million.
Below $1 million.
Yep. So
GS
right there.
GT Carrera Speedster. So hard top, and this is a 4-cam motor.
This has the 4-cam.
Wow.
Yep.
So this is when Porsche stopped building Speedster in 58. And customers needed some more to be able to race with them, so they built some more 59s. I think the majority were all, if not all, were Carreras, so people could go racing with them.
So at this age and this level car, how does like restoration versus original? How much does that change the price?
I mean, most of these cars at this level, this age, have been
Restored at some point.
restored.
Yeah.
You know, you had the junkyard collection that happened last year that had
Yeah.
obviously not
The
restored.
Rudy Klein.
Yeah, the Rudy Klein collection, and those cars went for ridiculous money. So they're going to be unrestored cars are going to be more one-offs than not.
Yeah, this car was beautiful.
This is great. I mean, it almost has the look of like a proto outlaw. You know, the hard top
Right.
and the bumpers the way they are, the fog lights. It's really, really cool.
And I believe those hard tops are steel, not aluminum like in my Boxster. Because Steve Bro, he had a 356 SC that he restored, and he had a matching hard top with the sunroof.
Huh.
And it was unbelievably
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
Super rare.
Yeah, and then there are a ton of aftermarket ones. There was a Speedster at Works that had a glass bar, you know, aftermarket American-made fiberglass hardtop, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
But it was fiberglass.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. We go to still air-cooled, but 1997, the 993 Turbo S.
Yeah, 993 turbos were interesting. I mean, obviously 90s cars have been doing extremely well in the market. Turbos, of course, but this Turbo S, you know, it's sold within range. It sold for $643 all in with a $550 to $650 estimate. solid result. Your non-turbo car or your non-S turbos.
I was about to say, what's the difference between that? Yeah, how did the S versus non-S turbo?
Price, right?
Well, price, but also so you can always tell the difference with the side inlets on the 993 Turbo S's. Plus, more horsepower.
Yellow brake calipers.
Yellow brake caliper.
Yeah.
Not ceramic.
All little tells.
But do you get a 50% discount with a non-S turbo?
That you get more than a 50% discount.
More than a
As of
like
this
that
weekend,
price, right?
yeah.
Really?
Or as of the auction, yeah.
Oh.
The non-S turbos they kind of struggled, which was very surprising to be honest with you. Out of the 3 cars, you had one not sell, you had one that sold below estimate, but then you had one that hit right in estimate, and that was the Arena Red car. I mean,
And how much was that? Do you remember?
so that one sold. Oh, that one actually did really well. That sold at 260,400 against a 225 high estimate.
260 for a 993 turbo. I still think that's like big money because I remember 993 turbos 10 years ago. A big price tag would be like 75.
Oh yeah,
That's
that was a good sale. I
this
mean,
hurts.
You're
This
going to
hurts.
start saying 15, 20 years ago.
I know.
Because I think 10 years ago, people knew about these cars. They were. Here, I'll blow your mind. So this is 98. My first year of club racing was 98. My first race was Sebring. At Sebring, somebody showed up with a Turbo S, dark blue one, and raced it.
Raced
driver's
it?
ed club raced it. He already had a cage put in it, race seats, and he was telling us how many pounds, hundreds of pounds he took out in weight to be able to set this up for racing. But imagine that, buying a Turbo S 993 and going racing with it.
that's hero status. That's
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was about to say that's
Like
my
hero
Back
in my
then,
book.
they weren't like collectors, so we were all like,
It was just the fastest one.
It's cheaper than buying
The
a
big-
race
I know
car.
what you said. I know what you said. Oh, he bought his way to the front. That's what you said.
But I still think about that. I'm like, did he ever turn that back into a street car? Because, like David said, you could tell by the inlets that it was an S.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
super,
Yeah.
super
The
cool.
coulda, shoulda, woulda is
Yeah, I know.
strong here.
It's also the era when Turbo S was the last of the line. Nowadays, it's the first car out. But back then, that was
Yeah.
the final.
That's how
They
they
were
finished
trying to
them
sell
all.
them all out, and we'll throw a couple special things on it, and we'll put it out.
Because
the
you
door.
got to get ready for the 996.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's like the 964 turbo,
Yeah.
3.6
Yeah.
Turbo S's.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we've got 90 something left. What do we do with them? Ship them off to exclusive.
Right.
And that's how we got the Turbo
How many
S's.
parts do we have left? How many do we
Yeah.
have to sell?
What can we do?
Kitchen sink cars. All right. So we remove an S and we go to 97, 911 turbo
Yes.
and the Arena Red. And that's 260. That's still.
It was really strong. I mean,
I think that's
it was a
strong.
nice car,
Yeah.
but that was a really, really strong bid. I guess, never bet against Arena Red or Kills Bugs Fast.
So Arena
Somebody had the
Red-
poster.
Was that the
Yeah.
launch
Two
color
people
for
had
launch
the poster.
color.
Yeah.
That's the launch color.
Yep.
And
It was the iconic poster.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get
yeah.
chastised for this. Like, I like the color Arena Red, but I don't feel Arena Red is a sports car color. Oh, I can't believe
My
I did.
turbo would be an Arena Red. I mean,
Really?
that was, as a kid in the 90s, that was it for me. Yep, Arena Red 993
It is
turbo.
pretty. It is a pretty color, but
It's
I
color. I mean, they
I'm
liked
not-
it enough that it
Yeah.
survived into the 996 era.
yeah, it's not bold enough
I
for
thought
us.
you were,
Yeah.
look at this car. It has a CD changer in the front trunk.
Oh, I do love that.
Yes.
I do love
Yeah.
that. And it doesn't look like it. It doesn't have factory ride height. It's got ROW or something.
That
It's-
car
it's
has
kinda-
never not looked good.
Yeah.
That was such well executed with the way they integrated the tail into the fender flare. It is just a car that has withstood time. It's
Iconic.
amazing.
Yeah. I would love it like in Wimbledon green, but you know what Tony Hatter's favorite color is for the 993, Manny.
What was that?
It's black. You were there at the count. You were the one who asked him.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Next one was, I believe, the car that we all thought was crazy deal or crazy estimate, and that was the 2002 911 GT2 at Broad Arrow auction. And what was the original estimate? Does it show?
160 to 180.
And that's what
on
we
that
thought.
one.
We were like 160 for that was crazy cheap. It went for 190.
Yes. It went for way more. It did really well. I think
we
these
called it
are-
right, Manny.
Yeah.
We called it right. We
But
said
this
that-
also puts to light, I think, it's not the same car, but you think about like the 05 Turbo S 996, which can be had for 90. So think about that. You
Right.
get a Turbo S 05, also end of the year, end of the
Yeah.
run before they started going to Turbo S as the first model. So the GT2 to me, that is
That is a
special
screaming
car.
deal compared to. Did you see the 2002 996 Turbo X50 that Broad Arrow sold for 173.6?
Yeah.
Not the white one?
Yeah, the white
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That was
Yeah.
all the money and then some.
and then some.
And
It was
then
one
some.
of
For sure.
That's
Yeah.
GT2 with a lot of miles, relatively speaking, and a turbo with almost nothing.
But
Yeah.
what was a lot of miles? Was it 40 or 50?
No, this one only had like 23,000 miles, I think.
Which is kind of a lot for a GT2.
But people drove these. I mean, you see 996 GT2s, 996 GT3s with miles on them.
Yeah.
I think
But I mean-
what hurts them is you get in them and you feel like you're just in a regular base 996.
Yeah.
It's no different inside.
right.
And to me, that's the charm of Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people, I think they want something
Yeah.
sticks out.
What are
more.
you going to choose though? This car with 20 some odd thousand miles on it in silver? Is it Arctic silver? What's the
Arctic or Polar.
Yeah.
One of the two.
versus the Carrera white X50 turbo for almost 173.6. That just blew me away. That was
Yeah.
one of the cars that we were.
GT2 all day long.
all day long?
GT2.
All
yeah,
day
I-
long.
yeah.
me too. I mean,
Except for
I just-
Damon, no.
David, are you going to
You gonna?
Probably go GT2.
All
but
right.
that turbo looked way
Unanimous.
cooler, in my opinion. I like the
Unanimous.
white.
No, I did like the white. You could always wrap this one if you want.
If 20-some thousand miles is a lot, then that's perfect because I would drive the heck out of this car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would
Oh, for
yeah.
sure.
GT2.
I think people are coming around to them
Come on.
finally. I mean, they're probably. If I remember correctly, they're the most limited of all the GT2s,
Yeah.
numbers
your
wise.
biggest pain in the butt would be you would have to tell people that yes, it's a real one.
Yeah.
You didn't just buy a wing for
Yeah,
it.
not
People
just
will be
wing.
asking, is
Body
it a
kitted.
real GT?
You have to be confident and understand that most people won't realize how special your car is because they'll just think,
I'm
oh,
okay
it's
with
another-
that. I'm not buying it
Yeah,
for
right,
people.
right, exactly. Yeah, and some, I'm okay with it, but there are a lot of people
yeah.
that if people don't recognize it as a special car, it like hurts their feelings.
Yeah, I'll know that person that cars me coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, and let's go to one of the goats here. We've got a 959.
So yeah, this was really interesting for 959s during the Florida Car Week. We had 3 959s, and of those cars, we had one just standard Komfort, which is the one you have up here, and then there was another one that was modified by Canepa, so they called
Yeah.
out the 959 SC.
Yeah.
He does his magic, makes them much more drivable, livable, faster,
Faster, yeah.
just better than
Yeah.
what they came from the factory. And then we also had a 959 Sport, which was
Yep.
extremely rare. Comfort's the one that probably did the best out of all three. Just your standard 959 that sold for 2.2 and change with fees against a 2 to 2.5 estimate.
How much do you think color played a role in there? Because that's not a normal color for a 959. That graphite gray. Or,
Yeah, I mean gray, white, black, red.
Yeah.
I mean, the 959s weren't too crazy. The Canepa ones, they're redoing them,
Yeah.
so they're reimagined, but
Right.
they're all in amazing colors and
Right.
whatnot. But
Didn't this one Damon say it made a stop at Canepa or something like that? It was
it had some service done, I think.
service done.
Yeah, I think it had some upgrades.
Yeah.
So,
Wasn't an
the
SC,
suspension,
but
yeah,
it did.
not
Yeah,
an
not
SC.
quite the SC, but
Is there any 959 in North America that hasn't passed through his hands?
no, probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like Road Scholars services
Yeah.
959.
Yep,
So,
that's true.
that'd be interesting to see how many have gone through Canepa shop, especially for the upgrade, because that's a very tempting. It's not cheap, but I think it really transforms the car. If you're looking for a more modern ride, then it's certainly
This
going to bring
this
it in.
one was part of the, I think, royal family of Brunei, and
Oh, it escaped.
obviously, yeah, it escaped
An
somehow.
escapee.
Years ago, I believe, when I was reading the description, and it obviously wasn't driven all that much.
826 miles.
I wonder if these were one of the cars that they shipped to Porsche Classic in Germany.
And just stayed there.
They have them do all the service, and they
Yeah.
put like 0 miles every year, and they just keep on shipping them back. They do the service.
Well, they've got 300 cars to rotate through, so they can't put mini miles on them.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. So let's see. I think
Decent number for that car.
Yeah.
The
between estimates, right?
yeah, right between estimates.
Yeah.
Now the 959 SC, the Canepa car, this one was a little disappointing. Like these cars have regularly been going $3 million plus, and it didn't even break into the $3 million range with fees. It sold at like 2.85, which was surprising. These have been fairly strong recently. So to see this one kind of, back behind, the estimate was right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the estimate was 3 to 3.5. That's
So-
where they've been.
The gray one went for how much?
2.2,
2.2, and this went for 2.8.
2.8.
2.8.
But typically these SCs are going for 3 plus.
Oh.
So it's right there, but still.
So for the buyer that didn't have to pay to get this conversion done,
Yeah.
they did well.
And I love tone on tone. I love green on green, blue on blue.
Yeah,
This
that is cool.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
I can't confirm this, but somebody told me they saw one of the Canepa cars sporting a decal that said "Made in Scotts Valley," which I think would be very. That's a lot of.
So
Awesome.
I can't confirm that. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but yeah.
So long term, we know Bruce and his group, they're super reputable and they know this stuff in and out. But a car that's been reimagined versus a car that had stayed stock. What do you think? Because I know you have a crystal ball that you can look at all the time.
Well, my crystal ball says that, people are driving these,
Yeah.
and it's just such a better car once
Yeah.
it's going through the SC program. From what I hear, I haven't driven them. The only 959 I've ever seen been in was like the rattiest 959 on Earth in South Florida.
Yeah.
It was sent there to die like a retirement. So
So you think
I
they'll
can
be able
only
to
imagine.
maintain because he is so
I don't-
reputable, or
Yeah, I think reputation will go a long way.
Yeah.
They didn't make a lot of them, and a lot of them are going through. And you can see the market right now at 3 million plus.
well, that's where I kind of lean towards the originals will do better because there's less of them.
An original sport
Oh,
will do better.
yeah. True.
So
Okay, I
much
got you.
more rare.
Yeah.
We have one coming up here, and they don't come up for auction. Like we never see those. Just like the Ruf CTRs, and this one actually didn't sell. No sale at $4.9 million with a 5.5 low estimate
In white.
in white.
So
With the white wheels.
For those listening to Sport, came with a different suspension, significantly different suspension than the Komfort. It had the dual shocks, I believe, right? Or the not monotube. The monotube was a Komfort. The dual
Dual
shock
coilovers,
and-
but no, you weren't able to raise or lower the
Yeah.
suspension like in the Komfort.
usually a roll bar. And did it come with race seats of some sort? I can't remember. Does it have pictures of it?
It looks
and,
like it.
they made a much less. There we go. It's full cage. No, still
Sports
about the
seats,
same
sports
seats.
cloth
Yeah.
sports seats.
But
beautiful
cloth.
here.
Oh yeah. You gotta pay more for cloth.
Yeah.
I love the story about these when they came in through Holbert's in Warrington. The truckload.
Yeah.
The government got word of it, turned it right around, send it back.
Did you? I don't know if you went to that Tech Tactics where they talked about that.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah. Was it Dave Anderson? Is it?
Dave Anderson.
He talked about he was an employee at Holbert. He
Ah,
did a
that sounds
presentation on it where Porsche tried to convince the government that they were race cars. After they already tried to convince the government that they were legal to come in,
Yep.
they told him to come back, and this time they told him to go out and buy basically tape and make stripes, and he sent them
Put a
slicks.
livery on it.
They sent them extra wheels with slicks, and told them to mount the slicks and put the slicks. Anyways, the government took one look at it. The guy from the government said, "Yeah, that's not
Yeah, no, send it
that's
back."
not a race car." So that's how he ended up with the wheels, because he said, "Now, what do you want me to do with these extra set of wheels?" And he said, "Well, it's too expensive to ship them back. Just get rid of them."
Oh.
And so he kept them. So he brought one of them to Tech Tactics to show us what the.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a
I know
great
there's
story.
some great old vintage photos from them sitting behind the
Yeah.
Holbert's dealership back in the day.
So this sport bid up to what? 4? You said
4.9.
4.9. So
Yep.
let's say 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 for this 88959 Sport, and then we were just talking about the CTR at 6, and $1 million is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you going to put in the garage?
Do you really have to ask?
Oh,
CTR all day long.
really?
Oh yeah. Yep. That's a
Really?
legend.
I think so too. As much as
Really?
I love the 959,
Yeah.
the CTR, that would be Sophie's choice right there. Which one would you leave behind?
Really? Yeah.
It would be a tough one because
I-
they could be argued. Both cars are so
Yeah.
iconic. Not only iconic, but they were just they changed things.
Yeah.
Ruf was managed to put a turbo in an aero body, a twin turbo, 6-speed. he built the roof company, I think, on that car.
Yeah.
So that's a very
I
important
can
car.
see why you would choose that, but I think that I would go with the 959.
Nice.
I would go with
Comfort,
the white
SC,
sport.
or
No,
Sport?
the white sport. The white,
White
sport.
Sport?
The white
Okay.
sport. The white sport. It's very tough to choose between the two, but
Okay, yeah.
My
For $6 million,
economical side,
yeah.
though, I think the roof is probably much less expensive to maintain.
because that's what you're worried about. We're spending $5 million.
What's my oil
I don't
change?
have anything left after that
what's-
$5-6 million.
What's the oil change going to cost?
Exactly.
And how hard is it?
Rob, what would you take?
The roof.
The roof.
Yeah.
Damon.
Yeah.
Man, you put me on the spot, and
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I think CTR3. I love the CTR3.
Wow, you go all the
Oh,
way
wow.
to a CTR
All
3
Because it reminds him of
You just saved yourself $5 million.
You can afford the
part of
maintenance
it, right?
now.
Yeah.
No, CTR3s are just so cool. You know, they look like a GT1, but they're more usable. Less money, I'm pretty sure.
I
and
can think
it's
of
cool.
I can think of GT1 to Lowe's.
I actually saw a CTR3 on the road driving through Connecticut, and I showed it to somebody at Amelia, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was Ralph Lauren's."
Oh,
Because I guess
really?
they could tell by just the
Oh.
build that he had. I just
Cool.
snapped it driving down through Connecticut a number of years ago.
So our listeners, I would be interested to hear what you would choose. Would you do the CTR or would you do the 959 Sport for $1 million difference?
Hey, what's $1 million?
What's $1 million?
$1 million.
Yeah, or save yourself a lot of money and go CTR 3.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah, those are probably my favorite sales. The ones that kind of showed the high end of the market, some of the bellwether 356s. We've got the air water auction coming up
Yeah.
here at the end of the month. You guys heading out to that?
We haven't gotten word whether or not we're going just yet, but I've been looking at the cars, and is there anything that has caught your eye?
Yeah, a lot of them. But
Yeah.
as usual, I think there is going to be a CTR anniversary. Speaking of roof,
Oh,
going through. I didn't see it. I saw it on, I believe, Instagram or whatnot, but I haven't seen it on the official catalog preview. So we shall see.
so the auction car that we could have planned Z'd on, Manny, went for a very reasonable price. The tractor. I think tractor prices are coming down. We can finally have a tractor. I think it went for like
Damon pulled up the Broad Arrow air water auction. I was looking at that because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
It's, what's the what do you think? What did they have really interesting so far on that car, on that auction?
I like the sanctioned lost cars. Those are pretty cool.
Was that the Spike Ferriston Zuckerman car? Or is it somebody
Yeah, I
else's?
think so, right?
They're selling it?
No, I mean it's not that car, but
Okay,
it's
not
that
theirs,
same
but
model.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
Zagato, the
Yeah.
Fix and Lost thing, but that's not Spike and Zuckerman's. Okay.
Another GT2. The estimate has gone up. Since,
yeah,
of course.
of course.
I don't see the CTR
Another 944
anniversary.
Turbo Cup.
Yep.
What
are
about
great.
that Coachmaker 356 at Gooding that I said looked
the
kind of
Beutler?
Beutler?
what's it
The-
called?
Beutler.
Yeah,
Whitlock,
No,
yeah.
Did that sell? How much did that go for? That again,
That really,
it had like fins on it.
odd-looking
Yeah, the
one.
odd looking one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sedan.
Yeah.
It did sell.
Uh huh.
I don't remember.
No, it's actually been a coupe because it was only 2-door, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It was
a
two doors,
Yeah.
but it was.
It
Yeah.
had fins.
I
Yeah.
don't remember.
There it is.
All right, let's see. I'm going to scroll down.
Uh huh. It's 1963
63
coupe.
235.
Estimate is 300, so it's
So
below estimate.
below estimate, but it sold.
That's a whole lot of weird
Yeah.
for $235,000.
I love this thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'd buy it just for the weird.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
reminds me of that painting from Seinfeld of Kramer, where the person says, "It's so ugly, yet I can't look away."
Hey, it's not ugly.
it's not ugly. It's just different. It's
It
just
is.
different.
To me, it says Erwin Clemenda knew what he was doing when he designed a 356. It also reminds me of the Porsche Museum. Sometimes will pull out some of the versions of the 911 that they thought about doing, and you're like, "Phew, I want to hug the person who had the peace of mind to say, yeah, we're not going to make the 911 look like this." So they were
Yeah.
trying to fit taller people in the rear seat than what it was, and it changed the whole profile.
Yeah, change
Yeah.
the
of
profile.
the famous
Yeah.
slope. So happy they didn't do that.
Yeah. No, me too. I mean, I think that's better looking than the Beutler 356.
There was that
though.
one 911 Cabriolet. So they're going back and forth between whether 911 would be a Targa, Cabriolet. Regulations were up in the air. and it sold at auction. It's being restored down at the Madison Automotive Apprenticeship Program
Oh, yeah.
down in Virginia.
The Scroggin?
And yep, I got to see it. It's actually gorgeous. I love it.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I love a Targa, but that thing's cool.
Did anyone see the 16,000 mile 87 944 turbo at Broad Arrow?
I probably saw it.
Every time a really great 944 turbo or 968 comes up for auction, I always think this is going to be the breakout car, the one that the people go crazy over. And it didn't happen. It was
44.8.
It was estimated between 50 and 60, 44.8. I mean, 87 would not be my, an
44.8?
Rob, was that the 87 turbo at Broad
Yeah,
Arrow?
it was the 87.
Yeah, guards
Yep.
red.
Their Turbo Cup did really well, though.
Yes.
That did 156.6.
Yeah.
I mean, Turbo Cups, again, let's thinking back, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
25
So this one right here,
Yep.
4,800.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Red.
is that less than what it sold for new, or around the
Probably
same
is.
price?
Yeah, I bet that car probably stickered for like 48, 49, 50.
I got to tell you, something about that kind of car really attracts me.
I love
Because
the
it
wheels.
doesn't have to be an S. It's the fact that it has such low miles and it's kept it's just a time capsule.
That car was really well bought.
That was a
I
good
think.
buy.
Yeah.
I would
Yep.
look at it as like, you know what? I'm taking a time machine back to 87,
Right.
and I'm buying a car cheaper than I could have back then, and I'm the one who gets to put the miles on it.
Right. And that's exactly what you do because, there's no way you can drive this car into, being a $30,000 car. I mean, it's not like you're throwing dollar bills out the window with every click of the odometer. I mean, you could buy this car for 44, put 10,000 miles on it and, sell
Reminds
it.
me of
You're
my
really
nine,
going to lose the end of the
Yeah,
day.
you're not going to lose that
Yeah.
much
reminds
and
me
have
of
a
my
great
nine-
experience.
My 914, that people always ask me, when did you restore it?
Mm-hmm.
And I love telling them it's not. It's all original. Just been maintained
Yeah.
all its life. So I could see someone buying that and
Just enjoying it.
just enjoying it, maintaining it, and will it be a collector car? It's not going to be an S. It's not going to be something that is a blue chip car, but it's going to be a car that, as years go by and people either restore them or whatnot, you have a car that was original from the start.
I can tell you my Jason, being 20, soon to be 21, his generation loves those cars. See, they love the pop-up headlights. He's all about pop-up headlights.
I think 87 was the first year of ABS and airbags for that car.
That would be a great car to enjoy.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's do a quick comparison. This was a car that more than nipped at the heels of a 3.2 Carrera from that era, but Gooding had a white '83 SC Cabriolet with a 60 to 80 pre-sale estimate. It was not really a particularly nice car. It was a gray market car that
You're being very kind.
All right.
Oh, I remember. I remember.
This was a classic example of a car that was part of a larger collection.
Yep.
It's like, if you want these
bring it in.
cars, you got to take that car. I mean, it's a
You
car
got to
that-
have some at every price point for the auction.
right, but it's a car that if I were buying it privately, I would say 38 grand would be
That car sold for 60.
62,
60.
750 with phase.
right. So
Yeah.
you could have the in the wrapper perfect 944 turbo for 43.8, or this car for 62,720. What do you buy? Which one do you take?
944 all day. Turbo.
944
yeah.
turbo.
A smart
yeah.
person would take 944 turbo, but
You know what? It would be tougher.
The dentist in Nebraska. Sorry.
yeah,
If it was a coupe, I'd be.
Sorry, dentist.
I'd still take the
I love you
944.
all.
I
Yeah.
really would.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's why.
Ratty gray market cab versus perfect 944
That's why I can't wait
turbo.
Yeah.
to see your 924 because I love original cars.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
because-
look at those seats.
that car was
that car
rough.
was
And it
Yeah.
went for
Yeah.
60,
Yeah.
62. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that just shows you how much love there is for a 911.
No, it just shows you how.
A lot of
I mean,
alcohol
this was
at the
the
auction.
this was the consolation prize. Somebody's significant other,
But there
got
had to be two people that wanted it.
right. Well,
You
two
know?
people and their significant other.
just take a look at those door panels with those speakers and
several
remember
gin and
this
tonics and
before you do
Oh, yeah.
anything to the 356.
When speakers don't have grills on them, you might want
Right.
to walk away.
that is
Right.
a grill.
yeah, and
I don't think that was meant to have a grill.
I don't think so either.
it's like the only
That's
gray
the
market
stuff.
car where somebody after they got it under the
Okay,
nose
in
of whoever.
case the buyer is a PCA member and is listening, we are happy for you. And it's a good base. if they wanted to kind of start cleaning it up and have a good-looking white cap.
It was interesting. I guess they put the European side marker on it because it has American headlights.
No, I was saying it's like the only. It's a gray market car.
Oh, it is a
Isn't
gray
it?
market.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But most people, kept the H1s or the H4s or whatever in the trunk, and as soon as it got past the inspectors, the sugar scoops went away and the European headlights went back on, and this car
Kept its sugar scoops.
kept its. Yeah. You know what though? We should be kinder because I'm looking at the corner of the windshield and
It's got a PCA decal
Yeah,
on it. I
so-
didn't see that.
yeah.
All right. I would like to remind you, if you haven't signed up for PCA's newsletters, performance news, e-brake news, and Mart Fresh news, it's all free. All you need to do is head over to pca.org. In the news, we only have one item here, and it has to do with Zuffenhausen. Manny?
Oh, they're celebrating 75 years of manufacturing Zuffenhausen. And this is where sometimes you'll hear me say this on our videos, that Porsche, for 1948 is their birth year when 56.1 is licensed and registered for the street. They really didn't start producing cars in mass until 1950. They had the Gamoon cars they built, but that's when they realized we can't be building cars at this rate and making bodies on our own. So they get Reuter to start doing the bodies. They go back to Zuffenhausen, and this is where the mass production really begins. So they're celebrating on April 6th, actually, which is by the time you hear this, it's past April 6th. But April 6th, 1950 marked the beginning of the manufacturing at Zuffenhausen. And if you're wondering how we came up with the name Works Reunion, it's because the name of the factory is Works 1, Works 2, 3, 4, 5, as it kept on getting bigger and
But it's
bigger.
only work,
too.
no S. We added the S, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we added the S.
As someone said, that's not a word. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It sounds good
It
in
just sounds
English.
cool.
I'm not going to say work reunion because people are going to think we're getting together for some.
You had to work at the PCA. in
Right,
order to come.
exactly.
But work sounds something much cooler. But yeah, that's and what's amazing is that it all is within the same factory area that they started building the cars.
Yep.
And it talks about, I think, between work 4 and 5 was it, that they added the bridge where you see the bodies of the cars come over across the street into the main factory. It's to me it's very, very cool how the history of Porsche and how big they got, how quickly they grew in their production.
And I think we talked about it. They were considering to demolish the Reuter building next to Works 1, but as of recently, they've decided to keep it.
We were going to be there to collect all the dust that came.
We were going to collect the bricks and start making them as trophies.
Yes. Sell it with your plaque.
Exactly.
What's going? They did demolish the dealership though across from the museum.
Yes,
What's
that's
going
now
there?
that's now body and paint, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, big
That's
building.
weird.
Mm-hmm. And they moved the dealership to another location. Let's see. Let's go into events real quickly. Just want to remind you that Porsche Parade Oklahoma City, July 6th through 12th. I just heard some details on some special VIPs that are coming, some special announcements.
But you're not going to tell us.
Nope. You just need to be there. You need to be there. July 6th through 12th. Treffin at
Can
Sea.
you say what they rhyme with?
Well, I will tell you that the
Last
Porsche
name rhymes with Porsche?
the Porsche family is invited. The director of the Porsche Museum is also invited. Invited.
Well, you could invite Santa Claus, but that doesn't mean
Well,
he's coming.
I want to say that they
Not
have
he's got much to do in
confirmed
July.
that they're coming. However, as you know how a lot of times things happen and at the last minute they may not. But as of the recording of this, I can say with confidence that they are coming. So, but things might change. Anyway,
And registration, when does that end for phase 1?
Oh, that's a good question. We need to ask Melanie.
And do you, and if phase 1 ends, that means you can't register for parade anymore?
You can still get in. They just have to reopen because they go into phase 2 where you're actually putting all the details of your parade experience and all your options. But once that's done and rolling, then if you wanted to register, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, if you're on the fence,
Yep.
it's going to be a great time. There
It is-
hasn't been a parade yet that everyone didn't have a great time. And the ones we thought that wouldn't be as popular as other ones, I used the example of Savannah in 2011. Everyone said we were nuts to have a parade in Savannah.
That's great.
And and people now ask me, when are we going back to Savannah?
Yep.
And I'm
Same.
like, that
That
was
was a
an
great
emergency choice. That wasn't like a destination we thought of. But it turned out the town of Savannah was great, much like I'm sure Oklahoma was going to be. And they were so happy that we came that, it was something that.
Automobile Alley in Oklahoma City is going to be really cool.
And it's air conditioned Concord Prep.
Air conditioned Concord Prep and
Concord.
Concord.
Yeah. So.
That was key for Savannah. The
Yeah.
condition Concord Prep.
Yes.
Yes.
Inside that
Oh,
was awesome.
huge. Even the
Yeah.
car wash area, I was telling Melanie, the car wash area was under the shipping and receiving, and that was all covered.
Yeah.
So you could wash your car and not have to worry about the sun drying it before you could with leaving water spots. So, yeah.
With your turbo blower.
Yes,
Yeah.
the one we're going to try out if it's the cars are still
And
wet.
if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be someone competing at this parade, and you probably should go just to see how he does with his car.
On that note, I was just thinking,
Yeah, it's
like
gonna be
phase
comical.
2, I haven't registered. I need to.
Phase 2 hasn't opened up yet, so.
Okay, I
Did
need
you
to-
register phase 1?
I need to order the.
That's a no.
That's a no.
What I need to do is I need to get back with John and see where I need to order the Porsche product specifications.
You got a lot to do here.
I do.
my friend.
You got a wedding to plan and you got a car to prep. Which is more
And
important?
you've got to learn French.
There's that too.
All right, and Truffin at Sea 2025, our 70th anniversary cruise, departs out of New York. That is August 30th through September 6th. I believe right now we are 889 passengers that are going, and regions that we are visiting their ports are planning some special events as we disembark for the day. And so check that out with Princess Cruises. And a couple of videos that we've dropped.
There's your honeymoon, Rob. Really inexpensively.
Oh, something to think about.
I'm all about.
You can stop in Canada for a while.
Damon, you want to move over to videos? We're talking about Project 964 and Tech Tactics and Spec Tires.
Yep, we've released a couple videos in the past week, and the first one was a presentation from the 2024 Tech Tactics East, because we're still getting through some of those videos.
And it did really well.
Yes, it did. It's
Yes, I didn't think it was going to do that well, but it was the most interesting part of the whole presentation. And we always have people asking about NSPEC, so I said, "What the heck? We'll show that little part."
Yep.
Yeah, so it's done better than a lot of our recent videos, crazy enough. But also, I do need to point out that was filmed before we started receiving comments about repeating the question. So
Yes.
that won't happen again, just so you guys know.
So everything that we recorded in 2025, we definitely knew to ask people to
And
repeat.
I will say that we can't guarantee that's not going to happen, simply because this is a live event.
Yep.
People are paying to come there, so we're kind of
YouTube
like
video is not the focus.
Yeah, we're the YouTube video is a bonus that we can record there, but it's really an event that people are paying to attend. So we always preface this presentation before the video starts, saying please use the microphone to ask the question, or when we tell the presenter to repeat any questions. But sometimes the presenter forgets the camera's on and that we're recording, and it becomes a very intimate presentation with 100 or 60 of your best friends and the whiteboard, and so they forget to repeat
as
the
Manny
question.
said, keep in mind, it's a bonus of the actual event. You should come if you want the full experience.
Yep. So the next video is one on avant-garde collector. I should actually say it's about consigning Porsches, or consigning a car from the perspective of the company we use to sell Project 964, and that was Avant-Garde Collection. They specialize in selling or consigning cars and selling them on Bring a Trailer. Project 964 brought $130,000 as the highest bid. I think using AGC paid off.
Yeah. Actually, back to Mr. Values and Numbers, how do you think we did?
I think you did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did really well. I mean, it was completely done.
Yeah.
There's everything about the car. Everything was documented via your videos.
Yep.
So there were no questions.
We
on that
were,
one.
It's always one of those things where you hope you do the right things, and Manny worked very closely with Matt, and but nothing's guaranteed, and it's very nerve-wracking. When we sold the Classic Club Coupe, that was a long 8 minutes of a live auction. This was 7 days stretched out, and lots of bids in the first 24 hours, and then it just kind of people were waiting and seeing, and then down to the last, few minutes in the bids. And what I got to say is, now that we've gone through it, like it landed even better than I had originally hoped, which is cool, but not so exorbitant where I feel like the person that won the car paid some crazy premium. Like I feel like it landed in a nice spot.
They got their money's
for both
worth,
sides.
the work.
So before you say anything more, I think this will follow in with the comment from Christopher Peterson, 1400. So basically you are saying Bring a Trailer is a place to sell at top high price, not a place to buy or get a fair or good deal. So I thought about that, and you know what? I used to think that about Bring a Trailer, where, this is where you go to sell to get your best price. But if you listen to the video with Matt, he explains that if you want to get the best price, here's the things you should look at. Here's the way you should photograph the car and whatnot. Or you could hire someone like Matt to take care of all that for you if you don't want to do it yourself. So if you want to get the good deal, and I've been told this by several people, you look like in Nathan's presentation, reiterates this too, is that you go and you look for the people that aren't following the process.
Yeah.
And are shortcutting things, because their cars aren't going to get the higher bids. Like Project 964 did, because maybe they're not including as many pictures. Maybe they're not answering the questions as fast as they should. And so, I think Bring a Trailer. I've never met anyone who didn't think Bring a Trailer is a place to get a good deal. You just have to, be patient and look at it, right?
Yeah, no, this was happy buyer, happy seller.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was great on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've looked at 5,000 Bring a Trailer auctions in the last 2 days from the past 12 months. Just Porsches, and there's good deals. There's some insane cars that you're just like, why did this just sell for that?
Right.
So it's all over the place.
Yeah. And if you're a seller and you do your due diligence, you'll probably command, not guaranteed, but you'll probably do well. As for a buyer, as Manny said, some people don't do their due diligence, and those sleepy cars, people pass on them, and you might get the car of your dreams for a discount. So. Let's see. Next, I want to remind folks about PCA Sim Racing. If you want to try out some racing online, do it with PCA at PCASimRacing.com. If you're looking to pick up a rig or figure out how to set it up, they also have some how-tos there, and they can help you out. We also have some PCA Insider swag at our PCAwebstore.org. You can find mugs, bottles, T-shirts. But if you're looking for a PCA Insider decal, just send us your address information to podcast@pca.org and be more than happy to send out a set.
Going back to parade registration, since phase 2 will be opening soon. So I spent 5 days in the most happiest place on earth.
Oh, yes, you did.
Walt Disney World. And what I discovered was, after my wife managed to crash the Disney app, because they have this thing called lightning lanes where you can go in and kind of like shortcut the line, but you pay for it. And anyways, we had an issue on the first time we used it. So we bounced around from, they were very good, have great customer service, and everyone was trying to help us. But we ended up basically at the corporate, on the phone with the corporate people, and they admitted that it was a glitch on their end.
Oh.
So I thought to myself, Disney had to spend millions of dollars on this app, maybe tens, maybe hundreds, I don't know. Point being is that, remember this when you register for phase 2. If there's a glitch or two, even Disney has a glitch or two. So
yeah.
we're trying our best. They're testing it very, very closely. But with Parade, is much like Disney, there are so many moving parts and yet you have to answer all these questions for your experience to be what it should be. So just have patience.
Yep. Ask for your patience. And this is a totally brand new registration system for us, which is a daunting task. It's like asking us to build a car from scratch, which we have, but hopefully we'll get it dialed in and you'll have a positive experience. And if we miss a few things, we will definitely take notes and make it better for the next time.
Yep. And if not, you can enjoy Mr. Toad's wild ride.
They don't have that anymore.
They don't.
Don't? Oh, dating yourself.
Much like our old registration system that got canned.
That got axed.
I did not see any Porsches in the parking lot, which made me kind of happy, because I would have been scared to drive. You know how many minivans and
No
basically
Macans, no
rental cars with
It's-
kids that are opening the door wide open.
Yeah, the parking lot is full of rental cars. That's all it's.
Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of glad I didn't see anybody drive their Porsche to the Goofy 121.
David, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having
me. It's always
me.
good to have you, and keep us posted if you see anything kind of pop up, and we should be paying attention to, because I feel like you do kind of have your own version of a crystal ball, and I love seeing and what you share with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, thank you for listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Consider sharing our show with other Porsche enthusiasts. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.